Hello and welcome back to the program. The Australian Cyber Collaboration Centre and CybSafe have released the 2024-25 Behave report, revealing global online safety insights from 6,500 people. Only 60% apparently seeing online security as worth the effort, a 9% drop from last year. Now, for more on this, we're joined by Matt Salier, CEO at Australian Cyber Collaboration Centre. Good to have you with me. How do generational views impact cybersecurity? I understand that's something that came up.
Yeah, look, a lot of significant areas of concern there. I mean, some optimistic pieces as well. The 60% being, I think it's all too hard is pretty problematic. But I think more concerningly, we saw a real shift in Gen Z and millennials who are really high adopters of those things we know keep us safe, multi-factor authentication, use of passphrases, use of password managers, but a very high attrition rate. So really dropping off. Have a go at using those tools that keep us safe, keep the criminals at bay, but then dropping off, perhaps because of the inconvenience, perhaps because it's just that little bit more of a difficult piece to slow down their day. The other piece that was really interesting for that generational one is that 30% of that Gen Z millennial cohort felt that it just wasn't worth the effort at all. They figured their information's out there, why bother, what's the worst thing that can happen? So that level of complacency is a real concern to us.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about why weak password habits continue to persist. I feel like that's a frontline piece of what people do, and simple passwords also becoming a huge problem recently.
And the use of, and you're spot on, the use of easily identifiable personal information is really troubling. You know, that means using brothers, sisters, parents, home addresses, pets' names, dates that are connected to you. They're really simple things to overcome. So the use of passphrases, a series of words together that mean something to you that are very difficult to break down, and of course password managers. There's a bunch of tools easily accessible out there that can very simply take away that threat vector, take away that angle that cyber criminals have in to really cause havoc in our lives. So it is concerning that we're not seeing people stick with those. The older generations, baby boomers and beyond, once they get onto those tools, they're sticking with them. That drop off in the younger generations was something that jumped out across a range of areas in that report, which is quite concerning.
Absolutely. Matt, I'm curious to know why multi-factor authentication adoption is inconsistent among younger generations. I know from experience with an Instagram incident that happened to a friend of mine, first thing I asked, two-factor authentication, where was it?
Yeah, look, I think it has to come down to that. It's a complacency piece and it's an inconvenience piece. It's that one extra thing you need to do. It does take a couple of steps to set up and depending on, you're changing over devices, you're updating phones and laptops and other equipment. It's just one more thing you need to do. And I think in a fast-paced world where you just want to take advantage of the technology, too often we're seeing those generations, particularly the younger generations, who are digital natives, as we know, just not wanting to compromise that level of convenience they have to use the technology for that little bit of inconvenience that might come from putting MFA in, opening an authenticator app, verifying through a text message or what have you. These are simple things. We're used to doing it with our bank accounts and so on, and that sort of financial sector interaction. But we should be applying that same level of hygiene across all of our digital interactions, and that's where we'll get the real benefit of keeping ourselves safer online.
Okay, so as somebody who's a bit of a leader in the space, how concerning is the lack of cybersecurity training for people like yourself?
Yeah, look, I think cybersecurity is a complex space. There's lots of tremendous information out there. The Australian Cybersecurity Centre, ACSC, run by the federal government, has incredible amounts of resources that are wonderful, but it's difficult to navigate in a time-poor world that we live in. So the ability for people to tap into that training, we've seen in organisations that it's much more compliance-based, sort of that unfortunate tick and flick approach rather than really sticky approaches to getting better cyber hygiene online.
Matt,
business email compromises.
Just on that time poor note you've made there, just before we finish, I'm curious to know where people should and could be going to find out a little bit more and keep themselves safe online, keep their cyber hygiene up to snuff.
Yeah, Absolutely. Well, Australian Cyber Collaboration Centre, as I said, partner with CybSafe. We've got a huge amount of resources, particularly through Cyber Awareness Month, but all through the year. The Australian Cyber Security Centre, run by the federal government, tremendous amount of information there, and really helps you navigate the latest threat vectors and what you can do to stay safe online. And of course, keep abreast of what the larger organisations you interact with are sending down. Banks, particularly insurers and others that you interact with, are looking to help you become more cybersecurity. Take advantage of that. Use their multi-factor authentication. Use the tips and tricks they provide to keep you safe.
Matt, very well said by you. Appreciate you jumping up and giving us a timely reminder about our cyber hygiene. Appreciate you.
No problems. Thanks for your time.
All right. Hopefully you've learned